Hello, Jane.
I wasted the last half hour. The Timberwolves lost by 2.
Oh, that was the Magic game. If they won that one, it's a series. Now they're at the edge of the cliff.
Right, it's 3-1 now, Oklahoma City.
They'd have to win 3 in a row. It's 3-1. But if they'd won tonight, it would have been 2-2.
Yeah, nobody won the bet. Neither.
It's close. I said it'd be a close game.
Yeah,
I said they would win by 3.
Well, okay, I'll let you win. I said 112 to 105, and you said 105 to 103, so you can win.
Yeah, nickel for Ellen's kids.
Now, I'll try to do what I can, but I don't get paid till Wednesday.
Oh, a nickel's a nickel.
So, I have my fake eyelashes on and my lipstick.
You should go on, Plenty of Fish.
I'm not looking for a man. I'm trying to look good for the podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's all right.
It's my face in the camera during the show.
That's true.
Okay, so we're gonna start in 1 minute. I have to get a map of the Ukraine. Hold on.
Okay. Let me get the Eucharist. I mean the Ukraine.
Eucharist.
Let me call you right back because I have Dave on the other line. Let me tell him I'm going to the Holy Land.
Okay, thanks. If you're calling, I didn't think you'd be calling the show.
No, I just everybody just left for some dinner, so I do have some time.
Oh, good. I'm trying to get something uploaded, so can you hang on? I'm about to start the show, and Suzette will be calling in, and John.
No problem.
So I'm glad you called.
Oh, okay.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, well, it depends on what everybody's busy talking about, because for the most part, they might be a little, I don't know, Memorial Day, they're going to be nostalgic and all that shit.
I was gonna tell you, just a minute. Did you get my message on Christ?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well, I mean, it's something that.
Oh shoot! I started the show and I didn't even know I did.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just do a quick intro. Hi, Suzette. Just a minute. Hi, Suzette.
Hello.
It's you and Don, and John will be calling right back. So I'm gonna do a quick intro, Don. Can everybody remove their background noise?
Yeah.
Okay. I did watch the headline news today, but I also got wrapped up in the Timberwolves Oklahoma Thunder basketball. It just ended 5 minutes ago, and the Wolves lost by 2 points.
Yep, I've been watching.
So now they're down in the series 3-1. So I'm just gonna do a quick intro, okay? I watched a European news source, and one thing that doesn't come out very much in the news sources is that Russia is in bad shape. It's 2025, and they've already gone through their whole national budget in 3 months. The Russian military reserve is using donkeys, tractors, and even scooters to get supplies around. And Russian soldiers are starving. They've lost 10,839 tanks in the war, and they can only make 6 to 7 new tanks a month, and they lose 3 to 10 in the average day. They can't increase the production of tanks because they don't have the technological expertise for the highly evolved precision in making the tanks. The other thing I'm just doing my foreign report right now. The other thing is that they're bringing up TS2 and T64 tanks from the 20th century that they made 40, 50 years ago, and they're reactivating old tanks. Their armored vehicles, they're short on that. Their artillery shells, they go through 300,000 a week, but they only have 250,000 available, and they borrow 50,000 a month from Korea, in which their shells are defective. They don't have enough soldiers, and even if they supply 12,000 in Koreans, they run out by 10 days. I'm not sure what that means. They don't have enough workers in the defense factories, and right now Russia's at full employment, which means that some people may not want to go into the private sector, to the defense and military sector, to do work. It cost them $210 billion so far from their reserve fund to run this war, and they only have $39 billion left. And now it looks like they're going down to $12 billion, and they'll run out of money completely by September, at least according to the Russian budget. The banks no longer want to issue private loans to individual, and China and Korea are currently Russians' only suppliers, meaning that they don't really have any more allies besides them. But it is bothering me that China's offering them artillery and tanks. So that's my summary for the night. And I have some other headline news I'll get to in a minute, but I first wanted your feedback. Suzette or Don? Can you hear me?
Yes, sorry. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, no, I mean, people don't understand that sometimes that the reason that a war is perpetrated and continued is to drain Russia's budget. So some of the things that we have done in providing, actual funding to the Ukraine is to wear the Russian people down and their defense spending budget. So that we're on the right track to doing what we want, and I know that at heart, 47 is dying because that was his male romance
with Putin.
Yeah.
The thing is even if Putin had some grandiose plans at this point, maybe that's why he's doing carpet bombing, because they don't really have another quick, effective method to attack the Ukrainians. But even if he has grandiose schemes, they're not going to win the war, and they don't have any backup.
Well, nobody has backup. That's the problem with the world right now. Nobody has an idea of what's going to happen 5 days from now, much less 5 years or 50 years. But the use of when you keep saying Koreans, do you know what you're saying?
North Koreans. I meant the North Koreans.
Okay.
Don't be so nitpicky. Don't be so nitpicky.
Well, if your name was George, that would be nitpicky. But we need to know which Korea is helping the Russians. But they're employing their services, and they don't have enough men and resources. Psychotic Russia that may not be able to be solved.
Yeah, we don't have to spend all night on this. I just happened to research it tonight.
Yeah, nope, that was a good report. I know we have Western companies in Russia that operate, and Putin is supposed to start putting the squeeze on them because, you know, the United States or whatever Western countries are putting the squeeze on him, and Trump's considering more sanctions. But your report was good. Yep.
I was just wanted to mention China is selling more cars in Europe right now than Tesla. Did you guys know that the Chinese has a new economy efficient car that's run electrically, and it's got 3 letters in it, like RBG or something, but I can't remember the letters.
Yeah, I've also believed that they have one that can drive through underwater, so to speak, you know, with big floods and stuff like that. They have a vehicle that can go through where the engine won't stall. And in Dubai, they premiered their newest flying vehicle.
Yes. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, hold on a minute, you guys. John just called in. Just a minute. Okay, I'm merging you. John's on the air. So could you repeat your last 2 sentences, Suzette?
Oh, I was saying China right now has a vehicle that can drive through water as far as the water levels can be up to the windows, the driver's side, passenger side, and back windows, and then come out. It can only go so far, but because of all the flooding that they've been having and people around the world, this vehicle can go right through it. It looks like a minivan.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then they premiered their flying vehicles, I believe it was last year, and you don't need to have a special driver's license for those, even though they're flying, which is interesting because they're not considered a motor vehicle.
How far in the air can it go, and for how long?
They go through. I mean, they use the drone bands, basically that type of motorization, to take them up and go. I'd send you the link, but it wouldn't be much good right now just because you're using your phone. But
yeah, I can't.
You can look at it later.
I'll give you my email halfway through the show.
Okay.
So tonight's topic, John, was Russia's running out of money. We're talking about China selling more cars in Europe than Tesla. The Timberwolves lost by 2 points. That's important to me. And also I wanted to talk to Don about the precepts of heaven and what you have to do to get in there.
Wow.
You don't qualify. You don't get a heavenly passport just by being black. You have to be humble and know the word of God.
Who are you talking to?
Not according to Pat.
No.
Black lives matter, right, Don? Black lives matter.
You damn right, buddy, because history says we're all African. Why don't you guys stop it? You're African too, John. So
does she wear the pants in the family, or does she take the pants off?
She took the pants off.
Don, after our argument last week, I told John the story, and he wrote me back, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, they do.
So Pat wanted to blacklist you from the show.
Yeah.
She said he's not allowed to call the show unless she's not in the house, and she just left, so he called.
No, not quite. No, I rule this shit. Just protection from her and the lady friends and anybody. I'm well protected.
Wow. She's like your iron butterfly.
Yep.
So, by the way, I don't know if I should bring this up, Suzette, Don, and John, but it was the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd's passing this past week.
Oh.
I know they had a march in Georgia, and I think that they had a group gathering in Minneapolis, but I didn't hear much else about it.
They did a tribute at the WNBA basketball games. It's an interesting concept because it was a moment of silence, which is easy because basically no one attends any of their games.
Bullshit! Caitlin Clark has brought the Indiana Fever have 1 million viewers per game, and their stadiums are full every night.
Well, I have an interesting trivia fact for you. The WNBA has been in business for 30 years. It has lost money every year, and this year it's going to lose $50 million. Why do we subsidize this unattractive, unwatchable sport?
Right! They're not. Have you ever seen Sophie Cunningham looks like she belongs in the Playboy Mansion. She's one of the best looking players I've ever seen. Now, John, you're going to get voted off the island if you mess with me, because I watch the WNBA 30 minutes a night.
The only business that can lose money for 3 decades and keep going are like Facebook, Tesla, and any .com. You can lose money for years as long as you have people investing in the stock.
Then why does Caitlin Clark have an $8 million Nike contract, and the WNBA, the beginning salary is only $73,000, and they had record sales the last 2 years? That doesn't make sense.
Because the black population is 13%. And so that means that you have 87% of the country is white. They have to have someone to root for. Here's a white girl who gets beat up by black women every night. She averages 19 points. She's not the best scorer in the league, actually. She's like in the top 10. But the top 5 above her are, they're black, as far as I understand.
Guess what happened to Caitlin Clark 2 days ago? They lost by the New York Liberty by 2 points, and a Liberty player held her arms the last 3 seconds so she couldn't shoot, and the ref didn't call it, and the coach complained in the public conference afterwards.
So it was black on white crime?
Yes.
Did she tase her and run after her and then get three of her teammates to surround her and beat her to a pole?
No,
hands handcuffed?
I wish that would happen some nights.
At least it would make it worth watching as far as entertaining.
Yeah, one night I saw Anthony Edwards and the OKC guy shove each other, the top scorer. Like, the women just make evil stares at each other.
Don must be getting some ice cream right now because he didn't react.
About what? I saw the game.
No, John was talking. He made a comment about black women in the WNBA.
Right, but it's ridiculous drivel. The league obviously is associated with the NBA, and the NBA is trying to reach a new audience, female audience. So they're going to lose money trying to start, if you want to call it that.
It's a write-off, I guess.
John, I'm going to double check your facts, because like when I was about to buy Indiana Fever tickets, some of them cost up to $175.
Well, I looked. It was about maybe a week ago. I'd seen Caitlin's picture on the front of one of the magazines, and I thought, it'd been a couple of years, I think, right? So I thought she must be leading the league in average, and maybe they're in the top 3 teams. And I looked at their record; they're like a 500 team, which is good, for Indiana, right? But there's like 5 or 6 other teams that are way above them, and I guess she's the great white hope. I guess that's why they're excited. I mean, she's a great player. Don't get me wrong; she could shoot my butt off, right? She's got a great shot. But it's interesting. What if they let the trans men go in there, and then we could actually have white?
Okay, don't bring up trans people tonight. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that topic.
They could dominate the league and be an all white, all these white college players.
We don't need any men. We have good women.
The WNBA.
We got Paige Bruckers. We have Lexi Hill. We have Sophie Cunningham. We don't need no men. I just think Suzette, does John sound like he's anti-women?
But no, the white man can't compete against the black man, so we got to get.
Well, that's not true. In the WNBA, they can.
Is that true, Don?
They get mad at the Dems for supporting trans men in girls' sports, and then you gave the perfect reason because white men are totally inadequate. They can't beat anybody, and so the only thing they can do is compete against women.
Maybe white men are inadequate, but the Indiana Fever should be 3-0 right now. They lost 2 games, 1 game by 1 point and 1 game by 2 points due to the crappy refs. So go on YouTube and watch a WNBA Fever game. The Atlanta Dream versus the Fever, and then you'll have a different story. Their ticket sales are skyrocketing.
So if I log on there, I'll have at least 2 views for them, right?
No, people watch them all over the place. They argue about them just like the NBA.
But do they ever take like shots of the arena, like all the empty seats? Like, do they put cardboard people in the seats?
You're way off, John. You're out of tune. You're out of tune.
I'm a musician.
There's a lot of basketball. The Indiana Fever sold out. I can only speak for them. The Minnesota Lynx they've had a strong following for years. They have some empty seats in the Minnesota Lynx, but they still have a strong following. I guess. What's your point? What's your point? They're growing. Why are you criticizing a franchise that's growing?
They could pull Will Chamberlain out of the ground and he would still lead the league in scoring. It's on the court and off the court.
Okay, you're muted for 5 minutes. Is that slick? Is that slick?
John's right. White people are so inadequate.
You know, John, you're sexist. Okay, can Suzette pick a topic that we're not going to fight about?
Is that even possible?
Suzette, pick a topic we're not going to fight about.
That's what I said. Is that even possible?
Oh, Lord.
Okay, I have one. I just saw on the headline news tonight that wounded warriors who lose an arm, 2 legs, 2 arms, whatever, they can lose up to 4 limbs, and the military makes them pick between retirement or disability. For every $1 that you take a disability, you lose $1 in retirement. And the setup is that you're supposed to have both. And now they can't have both. What are people's opinions on that? If you're not on the show, no background noise.
Okay, now where did you get that information from? Because if it's from the big beautiful bill, whatever that's.
No, it's NBC News. It was on the headline news tonight because it's Memorial Day.
And what happened?
If you're a wounded warrior and you get all the retirement benefits of the Army or whatever branch you served in, you cannot get disability also, even if you lost a limb. You have to pick one or the other.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
Well, that ain't right. They're losing $1,900 a month.
I'm sympathetic for the soldiers. I think I don't agree with everything that Doge is doing or Trump, because you can't be just blindly following everything they say. Now, it brings up an interesting angle, though, because
they signed up for it.
Well, it's like how many people are wounded veterans that get illegal benefits? It's a small percentage, so that's an outlier. But the thing is, you can have robots, right? Elon says in 10 years there'll be more robots than people. So the robots, and then he wants to have cyborgs. He wants us to be cyborgs. So you put the chip in. So now you have human, cyborg, and you got robots. So now the cyborg people are going to go, we need disability benefits, because maybe we're getting brain cancer or it's not working right, and we get replaced by robots. The robots are going to say, this isn't fair, because we're not getting insurance benefits when we break down. And the robots will, this go down the rabbit hole. They're going to start saying this isn't fair, right? So we revolt. And how do you do a revolution? Well, we got to spill blood. So I'm just talking long term. I see that's a problem if they're trying to create consciousness in AI, right? And aren't they trying to create that?
Yes, but
No, they're not.
Generally,
they're trying to create it, but it's a natural consequence.
We're talking sentient, where they are. Yeah.
There's a video of a robot attacking humans, right? It was like a week ago. Like the robot wigged out and started going after. It didn't have deadly, weapons of mass destruction, but if it did, it would have used this. It's true.
So
Any type of robotic or AI technology, anything like that, Neuralink or whatever that's out there that can alter, I guess, behavior in others, basically you've got a robot coming after you or whatever. On its own, no, it could not. There are always people behind it. So when they say, if that technology falls into the wrong hands, which is inevitable because it always does, and then, we think about it afterwards, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have created that. But anyway, because any type of AI, no matter what it is, can only think as far as the information that it gathers. And that could be, information worldwide in, less than a second. But beyond that, it can't think, but it can gather and analyze and then produce an answer from that. I noticed that when I had asked Grok a question, Grok is like ChatGPT. And I asked the same question in ChatGPT, and it gave me the same answer, which I thought was very interesting because they're two different AI systems, one claiming to be better than the other, but it can only gather and produce an answer with the information resources that are out there. And so there's a particular resource that ends up more, popular than the others because of an algorithm, then that's the answer you're going to get from any of the AI question answer systems, which I thought was very interesting. And this I did last week, and I was really surprised because I should have gotten a variant answer between the two, even if it was slight, but it was almost word for word, or actually it was word for word. I take that back. And that's why I was so surprised. But anyway, as far as any type of sentient, they can't develop emotions. It doesn't matter how much information they can gather on different emotions, they will not be able to feel. They cannot feel. They can just gather information.
But they can take directions and compute them where they collect them and make out future trends, and then are able to complete them. That's the problem. And this is something that they have to do when they get information and are able to really just put that information together in a collective unit, and then from that come up with a conclusion, and then complete that job.
Well, they're taught to. I mean, they're learning computers, and that's why it's artificial intelligence, because they learn from what they're fed.
Correct.
And sure, that's what gets back to the whole. If it falls into the wrong hands, then it can be manipulated to gather only certain information and produce certain results, and that's where the evil comes in.
Yeah, you saw this guy kidnap this other Italian tourist, who they're saying he had business dealing $30 million worth in crypto, and he kidnapped him to get his password. So now
To get his password?
To get his password to his Bitcoin account, so that he can steal his money. So this is something that there's a new white collar crime that people who have Bitcoin and passwords are going to have to be careful with, because people are going to beat them up and steal their accounts.
Is it safe to conclude that all robots are female since they're incapable of thinking?
You know, John, who's in your crowd of people tonight?
I agree
Because
with John.
so
John is actually a little less stupid today.
John, I want to tell you something. Right now, your donation level for your African children is -$9.
Wow.
I've already donated $9 last week, and I'm.
Didn't I win a nickel today betting on the Indiana game?
You didn't even. You won the point spread. You didn't even win the points.
That's still $9.95.
So I have an update, okay? Suzette, and you guys are having a good conversation, but I just want to throw this in here quick. Caitlin Clark got a $6,000 salary raise this year. Indiana Fever's ticket sales are up 145% this year. She has an 8-year Nike deal at $28 million. She has endorsements from Gatorade, Buick, Gainbridge, Hy-Vee, Xfinity, Buick, Wilson, State Farm. And
That's the money. Yeah.
and why would you guys, John, why would you criticize a organization that is getting up to 150% in more sales? Like, pick on some other like podunk tennis team in Dubuque, Iowa. Like, why pick on a group of people that are up and coming?
She just got hurt too. Caitlin Clark just got hurt yesterday, so she's going to be out at least 2 weeks.
I don't believe that.
You're stupid.
I watched the whole New York Liberty game, and she got thrown into the basketball post, and she got right back up.
Yeah, but it was something other than the quad.
Well, you know what they should do is lower the baskets for the women. Because
Another stupid comment.
No,
They already have a smaller ball.
in the NBA, I thought they had no balls except for every NBA player except maybe one or two guys cannot dunk the ball. Everyone else can dunk the ball. In the WNBA, I think there's only like 2 girls that can dunk the ball. I could be wrong. And they can barely get it over the rim. So they should lower the basket for them.
I think it's the media that's, creating all this hype in order to, push a trend. They want to create a trend as far as who the WNBA, and look at they're getting paid and they're playing good and people are showing up, and
that's okay.
Probably. No, that'd be great if it stayed, but the reality of it, you have media hype and fantasy, and then you have reality. And so if it can continue with this trend, longer than, into next season, great, fantastic. But if not, then, it's one of those distractions to try and get people to think and look at something else, just like they do with football and everything else. It's a distraction.
Right, and I'm a big fan, so I'm biased, but I could have bought a $188 ticket tonight on StubHub for the Timberwolves Game 4, which was pretty cheap. It was.
That's why I said if it goes beyond into next season where it's still going and growing in momentum, that's awesome. For people and fans, like yourself and stuff. But I mean, we'll just have to see where it goes. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It's a bad thing. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna have to buy at least 2 tickets this year to the Indiana Fever versus Minnesota Lynx.
It's entertainment, so if you're entertained, then that's a good thing. But I think there's a problem if people feel they have to watch it because there's an obligation to women's rights and diversity. Then you're watching for the wrong reasons. Like, I have to watch this because it's women as compared to the product sucks. Like, should we also have to watch Special Olympics because they're special needs?
That's just kind of. What is your problem? Can't you recognize that there's a good female athlete?
Yeah, can't you give them their credit where credit is due? There are talented women on the WNBA, and we should respect those talents because they work hard at developing it. And so, but you're always beating down on them, John. Why?
And they've been in existence over 20 years. It's not like it just started yesterday.
Because the industry, I'm talking about entertainment industry, they spend a lot of money forcing. Here's you want to know why? Because they forced a woman on us as a vice president who was incompetent, chosen by an old white man who was delirious, right? And they pulled it off almost. And then now the book's coming out, and Tapper's book is saying it was all rigged, and I'm sorry we didn't catch it. And they were leading the whole country, so that's why I don't like where they're saying you need to watch this just because you're supposed to. And that gal I don't know if her name's Grimes or the one that got
Brittany Griner, and she's an excellent player.
She looks like a guy. She has nothing on her chest. I mean, she has the chest of a guy, total like a guy, acts like a guy. I'm afraid to look, further, but she's always taking her top off and shooting baskets and, just to get the attention, and they have to censor it off. And I'm like, the point is I'm supposed to enjoy this, and we have to free her, but not the other people, the men over there in Russia, just her, because she liked to smoke weed, and she's a victim. So it just, the point when a high school basketball team can beat these women, and it's a fact, the junior college teams can whoop all these girls, and that's it. So I watch it. I've tried to watch some games. They are entertaining. I do like some of the gals that really hustle, but I've seen.
Don't call them gals.
Play better than them.
Don't call them gals. Call them women.
Well, the thing is, their skill level is like.
Well, you didn't. You've been watching the wrong games.
Okay.
Watch the New York Liberty. Do you have any idea how fast the Indiana Fever was on their first game? They crushed Chicago Sky by 40 points. You're watching the wrong games.
But when a girl gets a breakaway, she's got to lay it up like I did when I was in junior high. Now, I will say one thing. The NBA, LeBron James will take the ball and run for 50 yards without dribbling and dunk it, and they don't call it every game. They just let him, and someone touches him on the elbow, and he falls down and collapses, and he cries like,
they call it
the WNBA.
They call it flopping. Apparently, you haven't watched, I'm not trying to belabor a point, but the Indiana Fever has at least 5 good 3-point shooters.
They are tougher than LeBron. Oh man, you get these girls, they fall down and they're ready to scrap. But LeBron just goes and cries and goes to the referee and grabs. You know, he gets hit on the leg and he's holding his arm.
Well, okay, I'll send you a link to a game after this. I don't think you're qualified to speak because, first of all, you don't enjoy it. You don't want to watch it, and then you're knocking the people who do. So I've seen.
I'm gonna watch a quarter of one of these games.
Kelsey Mitchell is the fastest runner in the league on the Fever. She can run down the court in 5 seconds flat. Caitlin Clark throws her the ball constantly. You know, you're missing the point, dude. They're just as fast and as skilled as the men in many cases.
Okay.
It's really evolved. Even the college has evolved. You should see the college players.
Let me check out the empty arena here. Hold on a second.
Okay, John. John. You know I love you.
I love women. I love women.
Suzette's in charge of the show now.
You had started out talking about or insulting the women's WNBA. Then you went to Biden. Then you went back to the WNBA. Then you went to, what was the other? Oh, Kamala.
Kamala. Do you love Kamala?
And you went to grandmother's, all the, through the woods, and came back. Bring it back to the WNBA. That's talent, dude. That's talent. But I don't agree with the insults.
And a lot of times,
enjoyed the trip.
They have a picture. I looked up at WNBA highlights. Okay, on the front page, they have two, pictures of women. But you know what's above them? Above the top thing above there is LeBron James dunking the ball. Watch the NBA playoffs live. This is over. I put WNBA highlights, and what comes up on top is LeBron. Anyway, go ahead. I'm looking.
All right, Suzette made a good summary. And by the way, Hillary Clinton would kick your ass if she met you in real life.
She would bury me.
She'd kick your ass in her pantsuits.
Or with that laugh. It's so evil.
And so Kamala Harris was accused of having a cackly laugh. So
hey, these girls have gotten better. Okay, she hit a 3.
So
Caitlin,
they do it constantly. They do it blindfold. Like now, let's give Don some credit here. Don might say the same arguments every week too, but he doesn't just start out slashing half of the human race every time.
2 for 2. These girls are dead. Atlanta, man, they are scorching Indiana.
Yeah, Atlanta beat Indiana only by 1 or 2 points on Saturday.
Wow.
Okay, watch 15 minutes and then come back to the show. Don,
They've gotten better. Look at these girls.
Don't forget about Simone Biles. She can do like 6.
That's 3. First 4 shots, and they're shooting like guys. Wow. I'm getting excited, huh? I got the fever. The blonde is cute. She scored.
Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall are the blondes.
Wow.
Don, are you still on the air?
So do they have male cheerleaders?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, Don.
Are they white or black? Oh.
They don't have cheerleaders, you bonehead.
Caitlin lost the ball. She looks like a white trailer park player. These girls, I don't know, but she can shoot. Okay.
You know what?
Blondie.
She's not a good.
She has a name.
She's not a girly girl, Caitlin Clark. She's a tomboy.
Wow. Now is she straight or is she?
She has a boyfriend. She's had him for 3 years. Connor. His name's Connor.
Oh, wow. Well, he's probably helping her out to play basketball.
She played on boys' teams from the age of 6. She's been.
I wonder.
She was too good for girls.
They've gotten better because I will say 5 years ago, if I was in high school, I could play with these guys. At the level they're playing, I don't think I could play with them. They look pretty good.
Now take it back. Apologize to the group.
I can still jump. I take it back. These girls could compete with high school boys. Definitely. Oh, another 3. Wow, that's, man, Atlanta's, well, but it's 25-24 Atlanta. So, okay. They must just be showing the Atlanta highlights because every time they shoot, they hit the ball.
Go to the Indiana Chicago Sky game. The very first game of the season, May 22nd. It was Poetry in Motion.
Apparently so. Well, this is an interesting brand.
Okay, I want everybody to be involved in tonight's topic. So we belabored the point. I'm glad you're enjoying the game, but let's, Suzette, I like what you said about robotics recently. I'm one of the people who doesn't think that AI is going to take over the world.
Yeah, there's just, it can't. but the actors behind it can. They can use it as a tool, but it can't on its own.
Right, because even if you're teaching school, you have to educate people as humans. You can't just keep feeding computer information into people.
Right.
Unless somebody's a prodigy and they can learn how to code computer and all that. So what's on your mind tonight, Suzette? Don, Suzette, John, what's on your mind?
Well, I have to say, the product has gotten much better because, like 5 years ago, they was sloppy ball handling. They always just look like junior high kids and losing the ball. These guys, I haven't seen fumbles or anything. They're really good. But the robots, I think. Elon would disagree. He thinks in 10 years, robots will be running the show. And I think biblically it does say you have to have a number or the beast will, like the robots are going to take over. So I think we're going to have a big problem. Just if you go even, forget Bible prophecy, just say technology-wise, look at the arc of technology and go 100 years from now. Because 100 years ago, I mean, folks had they didn't even have regular phones, right? And it took a while to get just dial-up computers. In 100 years, you're talking about a civilization where they envision everything. I mean, robots doing everything for you at home. Kids don't even do their homework. They just have Chat GP, do their thing for them. So I think that's going to be a big problem.
Well, okay, so we have to break this down a little bit. When we say robots are going to take over, that's too generalized because robots can take over, but what are we talking about? Take over jobs. So there is less labor and less ways to earn wage because robots will be replacing those jobs. Not all, but a lot. So in the sense of robots taking over, it could mean that. Others think that when saying robots will take over everything, that means that there will be no humans and only robots will be inhabiting the earth, basically, because there's no use for humans. And you'll have the killer robots type thing as far as people that think that robots will take over. That's how they think as far as kill all humans, and so they'll be the only ones. I might have already said that. But yeah, so there's different ways of looking at AI, robotics. There's another type of, what do you call it? It's not AI, but it's more enhanced type of technology that, they have the CRISPR. There's all kinds of different technology. CRISPR is what messes with your DNA or can basically alter your DNA, I should say, not messes. It does, but it doesn't because it can alter it in a way of taking out disease, remove it from DNA so that you don't have children that are born with deficiencies of any type or disease or anything like that. But yeah, so we have to be more specific when we talk AI taking over or robots taking over in that sense. It just makes it more clear.
That reminds me of something.
You got 300 million people, 329 or 340, whatever. If there's as many robots as humans, or even say half as many, what will people do for work? I mean, are we all just going to program the robots to do, like, there's a point where we starve, right? And so we'll say, let's go mechanized and we'll make more food for the humans with the robots. But what rich person wants to feed people for free? Like,
okay, I have a question.
He's from out of area, and he was in Huntington Beach. Nice, cool white guy with dreads, and mellow guy. He came from Chicago, and he said they arrested him for sleeping. Like during the day, he was homeless, so he was out, and he doesn't look dangerous. He doesn't have tats. He doesn't dress dirty. Like he's clean. You know, he doesn't smell. He hasn't been on the street that long. But the point is, they arrested him. He said, I've been arrested now 3 times for it. I said, well, so what do they do? He said, well, they take you down there, they put you in a cell for 2 hours or so, and they give you a ticket, and they book you. So then what happens? You have a court date. So what happens if you don't show up for your court date? Well, now you're getting into problems. What if half the people are homeless because they can't get jobs? What do? Just arrest them, or you let them starve? There's a logistics problem there.
Also, I am going to bring up another point, but what's the point of arresting someone, booking them, if they can't even pay like a $50 fine? They're homeless, duh. Like, that's just stupid. But I wanted to bring up one point that you and Suzette were talking about. So Trump wants to set tariffs on Samsung and iPhone for not producing the phones in the U.S. But even if they moved all the businesses from China into the U.S., they still have to train people how to make the phones. See, there's a process, and humans have to learn how to make the phones. And right now, the iPhone head guys told Trump that it's more efficiently made in China because they know what they're doing. So, like, even in a situation like that, robots can't make phones. It still has to be humans learning how to make phones.
Yeah, that's a great point. And as far as Samsung and iPhone goes, okay, so at the moment or previously, those products that are sold by those 2 companies and brought into the U.S., they were able to do so with minimal taxation or tariffs or whatever you want to call it to bring it into the U.S. while they were making it cheaper. Now with tariffs, and basically they were making out like bandits. I mean, that's how they got so huge, is because they could charge a lot of money. And we're talking $400 or $500 every time they brought out a new iPhone, and it basically had the same things as far as apps go. And what do you need a phone for? To make a phone call, you can text, and as long as it does those 2 things, basically all you're paying for is the name. And they took advantage of that, and that's why people will pay $500-$600 and more for a phone. For a phone to make a phone call, but they can get away with it, yes. And with tariffs, at least we're getting a piece of that action here in the U.S. So they would either have to raise their prices, which nobody will pay, or very few people will pay, and it'll be hard for them to stay in business, or they can take less profit and pay a tariff, and probably still make the same amount that they're making on Americans now without it having to hurt. But I think that's a great idea.
$1,000 phone will now be $3,500.
Yep.
Well, I haven't paid, like, I have a payment plan on my Pixel 6a. It's already, I think it was like $20 a month or something. Now it's paid off, but I would never pay that much for a cell phone.
Well, what if you had a choice? You could get some cheap gifts for your kids at Christmas, but the countries selling those are building warships and hypersonic missiles and computer systems that will enslave them for the rest of their lives. But they will have some cheap stuff. Oh, and you're going to lose your job. You won't be able to work or find any employment, and your future generations will starve to death. But you are inconvenienced because you're going to have to pay 10 or 20% more prices, or maybe even double prices. It's not going to be as comfortable. But are those options that we want to pursue? Like, let's just keep going down this path of we're gonna spend ourselves into annihilation, right? Like our debt load, we can't even pay the interest on it, and just spiral out of control. Is that the best choice, or do we change course?
I don't know. I think our society should. There's 8 billion people in the world, and our society should focus on growing crops in greenhouses. Like find ways not to go hungry.
I think that would have been great, I don't know, a couple of decades ago, but now our soil's so contaminated, our water's so contaminated, not to mention, of course, any seeds that you can purchase now on the market are all GMO.
How about those fair trade things that they sell internationally, like fair trade coffee that, like people who are little farmers in Colombia and rice builder there are some food products you can buy from just ordinary people that are cheaper. The churches around Duluth organize those. They're fair trade products, like where you don't that you're buying directly from the farmer and they're getting the profit.
Yeah, well, they have to find out a formula that makes it valuation equal on the same amount of products from one country to another, or to the U.S. So they've got to find out what the fair value is, so that they can subsidize the farmers the difference.
Yeah, I know there was a private Christian businessman who started a coffee factory in Kenya or Uganda or somewhere like that, and he employed the whole village, and it was successul. And they've been in business. Yeah, they've been in business 10 years. But if I had to do a do-over in college, I think I would have majored in biology and try to do grow organic crops or something like that.
Yeah, or at least able to. Well, they do have systems now, but by the time they're able to use them, farmers are gone. And we're talking about the rotation cycle, and you can still find it in small farmers that have managed to struggle through staying, alive, so to speak, but the rotation of their crops. And they used to do it a long time ago. I mean, way back when with different crops. And so, you split up your acreage and you grow seasonal corn or whatever it is, and next season that doesn't get touched as far as letting the soil replenish itself, and another part of the acreage gets used for growing, I don't know, soybeans or cotton or whatever, and they just rotate the crops so that they're not all being drained of their nutrients at the same time. And I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Basically,
they keep some in furloughs.
They just started doing that. They have dried up or taken the nutrients out of so much soil in American farmland because they never did switch crops. They kept putting the same crop in over and over until about the 70s or 80s, when they realized they were killing the soil. And
this was way before then, when we had the Dust Bowl.
Right.
And that's
the thing is that the farmers still, in most parts of the country, still didn't rotate until recently. Most of those farmers still seeded the soil. That was one of the big problems because they refused, because those crops that made money were the crops that they just kept putting in, even though they were killing their soil. They've had the opportunity to do it for centuries, but they just have no desire because it doesn't make them money.
Well, when they rotate the crops, that allows them to continually make money because you're still producing an item that's still in demand. Like I said, corn one season, then the next season, soybeans in another part of the land to allow nutrition, and then, next season something else, and that piece of land gets to recover, and so on and so forth. But we have, there is so much aluminum barium in the soil that it almost doesn't matter if you rotate the crops. You could try and make it happen, but with these new fertilizers that they're asking these farmers, are not asking, they're actually, it's required to use. And then again, the aluminum barium in concert with that, and they're just killing these farms, killing the soil, and killing us. We don't have to worry about robots.
Killing the people who are working them.
Exactly.
So, John,
I told you I was just at the Sacramento River about 3 weeks. It's been about a month ago, a little bit more, and we'd always thought about buying a vacation home over there, and then we realized a couple of years ago that place is one of the most contaminated rivers in the country because of the fertilizer runoff.
really?
Mm-hmm. Yep. But like I said, we don't have to worry about robots. They just want to make us look in that direction, and they're going to destroy humanity. But basically, that's already being done. We're killing ourselves.
And that's why I have a down fitness and nutrition business, because the nutrition part is just as much, has just as much importance as the cardio part. People don't understand, and doctors will readily tell you, oh, you should not be eating this, that, the other. And people just will not listen. People are oblivious. I guess a suicide trait or a daredevil trait is in all of us. And if it manifests itself in a situation where we're eating fatty foods that stay in our bodies when we breathe in or take in toxins, those fatty foods grip onto the toxins, and those toxins and poisons stay in our bodies. And so this exacerbates itself where we actually have new organs. And I've talked about this on the show before quite a few times. When you're fat, you develop new organs, and those organs have to be fed. And so they're fed, and perpetuates the cycle that you get bigger as you continue to eat and feed your new organs. That's called evolution.
Get fat, die young.
Yeah, well,
58 years old, you're not young.
I'm 64. I ain't your age.
I ain't saying nothing. I didn't call it out any
I
name.
thought you'd call me 68.
It's a 58. Those who are 58, they're starting to get ready to die, and that's a really sad situation because of their lack of good nutrition and cardio work. People don't work anymore. They're lazy and they're just dying.
I went on a walk. I went on a mile walk today. It almost killed me.
it's also, Don, I would say also the toxins, the chemicals, the antibiotics that are fed to the animals. Before all of that, when you just had grass-fed cows that they would move from one ranch to another, feeding on the grass around them and eating healthy, then even though if you ate a lot of meat or a lot of fatty foods, you still would live longer than you would have otherwise. But the thing is you would be pure and not filled with the other that is a major contributor to heart disease and liver disease and any other kind of disease. So yeah, it's the contaminants that the animals are eating and are in our vegetables and so on and so forth. So I believe that you could be obese if you had those natural grass-fed cows, pigs, natural vegetables, because your body is able to deal with it because of homeostasis. And that's the natural healing of your body's internal ability to heal itself. But these days you can't be obese and be healthy. There's just no way.
Yeah, I'm trying to work towards losing weight. I'm on Mounjaro. It's a diabetic injection.
No wonder you go crazy lately. That's just if you look at the psychological side effects, it's really destructive to people's psyche. To the philosophical.
I don't really like the drug at all. If I have any, I went to a burger place in town the other day and I got sick because it was just too rich of a food. And it makes you have sulfur burps all day long. And your body can only eat so much because it slows down your bowel movement process. And to me, it's not really worth it to lose weight when all those things got changed in your body.
Yeah, definitely. That's brutal.
Right? You never know when you're gonna go the big job, and you feel like I ate graham crackers 4 days in a row because I didn't want to get sick. Like I just kept eating things I didn't think I'd get sick from. John, are you still on the show? John Yoder, are you still there?
Oh, I'm still there. Yes.
Is Slick in town? Because I thought I heard.
He's a married man now.
I thought I heard his voice earlier, but I guess it was just Jay.
That's my brother Jay, but Slicky, he's a married man now.
I know. I saw a picture of him.
He's only 3 times the age of his beautiful wife, and they're very happy.
What happens if he gets like cancer in 5 years? Does she have to take care of him?
Probably. We hope she will. I think she will. She's in love. It's a beautiful thing. Just leave him in the jungle and let nature take its course. We take it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time at our age.
Okay, so we've been on the air an hour and I have one final topic. What do you have to do to get to heaven?
You have to die.
The Bible says that you have to want a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. You want to desire to cultivate that relationship. You must be obedient to the Word of God. Ideally, you should belong to a church. And the Bible doesn't say that, but it's the expected norm. Because you have to be in a fellowship of believers. And you can't just say you're going to heaven because your race has suffered more than others and you get to go because you're a certain color. So, Don, I first want you to talk about if you're a religious person and how you feel about the next world.
I am a spiritual person. I'm not necessarily a religious or structured religious person because all these structures for religion are man-made, and God did not need to make this for man to destroy by comprehending things his own way, which happened because everybody knows Jesus is black. But anyway, bottom line is that the commandment of treat thy neighbor as thyself. That if you can do that consistently throughout your life, that will be the first thing in my mind to get a person to heaven. And then, being baptized, they say that you have to repent and follow his word.
Do you believe in infant baptism or adult baptism?
It'll be adult baptism.
Yeah, because a lot of Lutherans and Catholics believe if you're baptized in the first 6 months, then you're automatically a member of the church. I mean, the heavenly bodies. Now, the Catholics are more strict on sacraments, like the sacrament of baptism, marriage, and the sacrament of the, what do you call it? Communion, where you take the blood and body of Christ. And the Catholics believe in transubstantiation, that it turns into Jesus's body and Jesus's blood. Suzette, I already know that you're saved, but do you think a human being has any special requirements to go to heaven? Or do they just have to acknowledge Jesus as the Savior?
I don't know. I think basically the baptism and the acceptance, of course, before that. But I also think that once you repentance for things, but that's between you and God and Jesus. And basically, if you pray and you are sincere and genuine, that He will reveal your path, and then and only then, if you choose to follow or ignore, will you be graced with His presence, to live in His presence for eternity.
Yeah, I feel like after listening to Charles Stanley sermons for 6 months, I feel like I'm really getting closer on learning how to follow God's will and how to incorporate it into my daily life.
That's good. That's good. That's real good. And people, many don't understand, and even I don't to an extent, because I haven't had that blessing of being in His presence, but at this time. But nevertheless, that He does forgive. Even with the little things. If you're not the perfect Christian, I'm not saying you want to go out and commit sin or basically wrong somebody. I guess that would be a sin too, but or call it a sin. But nevertheless, repentance isn't like, oh, you got to beat yourself up for forever and keep, getting down to the point to where now you strayed away and are completely, absent of His presence. But
John, can you turn off your background noise? There's background noise, John.
I don't have any background noise. I have you on mute.
I said John, not Don.
Well, my phone's been on mute, so it's not me.
Well, I think it's your brother.
might have been
all this time I was on mute.
Okay.
Just to talk.
I
So
hear.
I've been off.
It's okay. I hear someone's electronic device. I don't know who it is. Okay, that's a good explanation, Suzette. And one thing is, when I went through gambling treatment, I did beat myself up a lot. I felt like a fallen creature because I knew I wasn't following God's will.
And nobody's harder on ourselves than ourselves,
Yeah. Now that you've been disabled for a couple of years, what kind of spiritual epiphanies have you had in the last couple of years?
None still. I am just patiently, I guess you could say, waiting or trying to think alternatively or to that effect, because it's like I still don't know why, but I sort of kind of can explain it, and it may not be about me. It may be about somebody else or something else that is also affected by this. I don't know. I
Well,
can't
I
say
mean,
for sure.
do
So
you read things like to fortify yourself, like with peace and grace? Like, do you follow? Do you listen to like podcasts or like a spiritual message to fortify yourself?
Yes and no. I read, and here's the thing. There are times when I do cry out as far as why. In the sense that the whole paralyzed thing isn't such a problem as it is just being either in pain all the time or in and out of the hospital all the time.
That's tough. I do think about you a lot, even though I don't call much. I've been isolating. I have an odd schedule, but I do think about you daily.
Well, thank you.
I
I
was
appreciate that. And I think about you too and your eye. You have diabetes, so I know what you're going through with that.
I was thinking of coming out to California a few months, but I haven't been able to swing it yet. But now John has to reform himself on these WNBA comments because I was supposed to stay with I was supposed to stay with him.
Well, that's fine. My sister is talking about flying my husband and I out to Texas for part of the summer. So
Are you
we'll see how that goes.
serious? That would be a blast.
Yeah, definitely. So we're putting that in the works, and she's getting
Could
the
your
tickets and
husband
all
work
that.
out there, like as a do side jobs?
I don't know. We've never been, so that would be for him to check out before we go. But I don't see why not.
Yeah, my nephew lives there now in Wills Point.
You're who?
My nephew moved to Wills Point, Texas.
Oh, okay.
It's about 90 miles from Dallas on the east side.
Mhm. Oh, that's kind of close to where. Well, kind of close to where my sister lives.
Oh, cool.
Sorta. Trying to think, yeah. Anyway, so that's what I've got. Sort of tentative plans for coming up here in the summer. Well, we're kind of already in it, but in the next couple of months.
I have a question. What if your husband had to stay home and work and for a while and he could only come maybe for 1 week out of the 4 weeks? Like, were you planning something like that?
Yeah, because somebody has to stay behind with our dog, for some portion of the time, because we can't leave him forever.
Right.
And a month would be forever.
Well,
Either that or we take him with us, but my sister doesn't have any dogs or cats. She prefers an animal-less house, which I don't know how you can do that. The buggers are so cute.
I don't have any animals. So
You don't have any?
I have no
animals?
animals, no.
Oh,
So why don't we all do our conclusions now?
okay.
Don, you didn't fight with anyone this week.
That's because nobody fought with me. I mean, that's the truth. I wanted to just mention that everybody's up in arms over a whole lot of nothing because, as we can see, there are people in all parties who oppose what their party leaders do. And we're in that situation right now with this new big, beautiful bill. We'll see how it goes. And once it's passed, if it passes, when it passes, we'll see how it's implemented. And I guess that Britney Spears has won her freedom and independence, I guess, finally. And she's going to get, I guess, $1 million a year or a month or something.
She already got her freedom.
Yeah, but I think they're paying her. They're starting her, giving her her pension, whatever you want to call it, trust fund, whatever. So she's going to have the money to do whatever she wants to do now and use it herself.
Good.
So free Britney.
She's gone batshit crazy, by the way.
No, she's nuts. But
She posts.
She's working on it.
She's posted videos of herself every day dancing erratically with hardly any clothes on.
Right. Well, John's right when he says women are crazy. So she's a little crazy.
I think John's call dropped. Just a minute.
Oh, she's very crazy.
John, did you just call back?
No, I've just been on mute. But you know.
Well, someone's on the phone, and I don't know who it is.
Oh, really?
Who's 310-963-8417?
Oh, hi, John. Oh, wow.
Who's this? We're ending the show now, but who are you?
What is political gravity?
I don't know who you are. You have to answer the question. How do you get my home phone?
It's the Holy Spirit. It's the unseen, always force of God, always there. You just never notice it. No, this is my brother Dave. My friend Dave.
I was gonna say I'm on the air already. You just described me.
Are you saying you're the invisible Holy Ghost, Don? Well, Dave,
I'm not the Holy Ghost.
which
I'm not invisible.
I'm doing a study now on the Summa Theologica on what our soul is made of. But Dave, are you John's friend that lives kind of out of town and he bought you a car?
I already told you, Buddhists that all intertwined. They're intertwined. Yeah. Hi.
I'm trying to figure out who Dave is. I'll tell you later, Don, about my research.
Okay, guys, I'm going to say goodnight now.
Okay.
Good night.
Any last words for us? Any last words?
Yeah, your conclusion.
Peace, love, and rock out.
She did her conclusion. Bye, Suzette.
Bye.
Bye, Suzette.
Bye.
Bye, John. Bye, Don. Bye, Dave.
Bye.
And goodbye to our wonderful host this evening. And thank you for having the show and having us on.
I think
Thank you,
we'll
Jane.
another one tomorrow or Tuesday.
Watch the WNBA on YouTube. That's your
Okay.
chore. Okay, I'll let you go.
Yeah, they need the ratings.
John, I'm gonna knock you into next week. Okay, so Dave, which one of John's friends are you?
A cool one. Yeah.
Dave's got my back.
Okay.
What is political gravity? What do you like to talk
It's my
about?
radio show. We've been in existence since 2010. And we used to be on Blog Talk Radio on the Ernest Radio Network, and then we became our own entity in 2014. And John and Don have been on the show since 2014.
And I get kicked off from time to time. Every 3 months, I get kicked off for a week or so.
He almost got kicked off tonight for calling WNBA players gals.
Hey,
And
but I was on when Ernest was still on.
I know.
So
That that was in 2010. Go ahead, Don. What?
I've been on since like 2011, 2012.
Yeah, so for 13, 14 years, Don, you have been. And John knew Ernest too. What's your next question, Dave?
Oh, that's it. I'm just listening. I'm just listening right now about what when you were on that other radio situation, what did you like to talk about?
My specialty is international foreign policy in the Middle East and Europe. We talked about a variety of topics.
She's a very loyal Trump supporter too.
I am not. I'm an American. I know. I have 2 degrees in government, a master's in political science, and I like studying foreign policy and wars and what causes wars. All right, somebody's phone is interfering. Well, next time call earlier next week because I have to end the show now. There's too much interference. But have a great night.
Okay, Jane.
Good night.
Go back to your manga convention.
John, you'll get a donation for the African group if you watch the Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky.
Yeah, I clicked on it. They're viewing up to 3 people now.
It's millions.
Oh, Mel, it's
Goodbye.